Today's April 9th, 2025. I'm Richard Lewis Brown, your Local 1000 president. This is part 2 of today's video. Again, April 9th, 2025. I am Richard Lewis Brown. I am still your Local 1000 president. As you can see, we left the 3rd Appellate District for the Court of Appeals because I got 8 appeals spotting the corruption of Local 1000, the union that I am the leader of. And I came down to another place here in Sacramento, downtown, 1830 9th Street, the Sacramento Democratic headquarters for the state of California. All right. This is the building behind me that runs the Democratic, I don't know how to call it, organization, the Democratic Party. I would say that they're crooked. I would say the truth is not in them. This is where they held that illegal board meeting October 16th and 17th, 2021, to quote, create the illegal chair position and take all my powers as a president. I had been in office 37 working days when I got the email from Bill Hall saying he's a DLC president, saying that he wanted to have all my power. Yeah, he's the same person that called me, quote, the N-word back in 2013, all right? Now, the reason why I'm at this building is this. I don't hate no one's political party, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or whatever. But this building took part of this corruption under the direction of Gavin Newsom. So I don't have any love for Gavin Newsom. I have righteous love for him, like I have righteous love for everyone, regardless of who you are, where you're from. But to love him for his actions, I do not. He hated the fact that I would not give him any money to help him fight his recall. So he already got $1 million from Local 1000 through SEIU State Council. But then he wanted more money. He wanted more money. And so when he did that voluntary give up of our money, remember that was supposed to be for 2 years, the PLP? He didn't need that money. And all of those Democrats in the state legislature, along with the Republicans, they didn't give up their money. Let me set up for you again. They had bipartisan support to not give up their money for that fiscal year, I believe it was 2021. They had bipartisan support. They didn't give up any of their money. But yet he came to the unions, and every union bent over backwards to give up your money for all state employees in the state of California. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. That tells me your lack of self-esteem as a union. But that's what they did for Gavin Newsom. Now he wants to run for the White House. But see, I can't make up this truth. This is not transgendered truth. This is reality. From right here at this building right here, the Sacramento Democratic headquarters for the state of California, 1830 9th Street. I believe that's the right address. Or maybe it's 1830 S Street. But it's on the corner of 9th and S in downtown Sacramento. I've never lied to you about anything. But they didn't want me in a position of power, even though I had been elected by the membership to remove us from politics. So there wouldn't be no bias towards Democrats or Republicans. The only bias would be about increasing your shareholder value as a righteous shareholder. Listen to how I say this. You don't have a, quote, union. You have a social justice organization parading around acting like they're fighting for higher pay and better working conditions for you. That's an absolute lie. They're not doing any of that for you. We are a union, okay, of California righteous shareholders. I want you to repeat this for me. We are a union of California righteous shareholders. Not yet, but we will be. Once I'm reinstated, we will be a union of California righteous shareholders. And when I mean by righteous, that means we're going to take care of everyone in the union equally. At least a 21% pay increase across the board, equally for everyone. GO pay and COLA, guaranteed telework. Okay? Listen to how I say this. Guaranteed telework. This will happen. We're going to create a whole new culture for this union. But you got to keep believing. You got to keep believing. You cannot stop believing. And that's why I've been saying this and saying this and saying this. I'm asking you to take action. What action can that be? Have you called me? No, I mean, Don't call me with your advice about what I need to do. Because my question is, what are you doing? Transparently, not in the dark. Because they say sunlight is the best disinfectant. That's what they tell me. They say sunlight is the best disinfectant. So if you're doing something behind the scenes, that may work for a little while. I want to know what you're doing transparently to help me get back into the union. And when they tell you, well, Richard retired, he's a non-issue, that's a lie. I will be reinstated to state service and be allowed to complete my term with no limitations. Okay? I had to retire from the union so I could keep fighting this massive corruption because I couldn't fight the massive corruption and work a full-time job when the full-time job was going to fire me. And you know I couldn't go to the union for representation. Ain't that something? They were going to fire the president for going back to work after coming off a state disability. So all these people who are telling you, well, we had to get rid of Richard, if I had did something wrong, if I had did something wrong, if I had stolen money from the union, then why didn't they criminally prosecute me? If I had stolen money, if I had harassed somebody, threatened somebody, why didn't they criminally prosecute me? Because they didn't have anything, because I never did anything wrong. That's why they didn't do that. But they made up these drummed up charges that I was a deterrent or I was a detriment to the union's survival. No, I was a detriment to the state of California and to the Democratic Party. That's who I was a detriment to. That's who I was a detriment to. So they had to remove me out because we were going on strike after bargaining in good faith. After bargaining in good faith, we would have gone on strike, and the fourth largest economy on earth would have been shut down before the tariffs came. We would have shut the state down. And then they would have to negotiate in good faith. They would have to show us their financial records, their financial statements from all these state agencies. So when they tell you we're in a budget crisis, there's no money to be found, did they show you their financial statements? They did not. So they'll come and tell you when it's time to pay you a substantial pay increase, we don't have the money. But the next thing you'll hear about is, well, we're building a train, a transgendered train from who knows where to God knows who knows where. Somebody's making money off that high-speed train. Someone made money initially. They had money for that, but didn't have money to pay you so you could take care of your family and not living day to day. Because if you're living day to day, you'll work for the rest of your life until you fall off into the ground. I'm talking about a substantial pay increase so you have money you can set aside for vacation. If you want to send your kid, your son or daughter to a private school, you'll have enough money to do that. You won't have to beg the US government for subsidies. Let me say this to you. All of you people who say that I'm crazy, I'm delusional. Yeah, I'm delusional in the faith I have in God through Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, I'm delusional on that. So even when I'm losing, I'm still keeping the faith. Do I get scared? Sure I do. I'm human. Sometimes I get deeply saddened, full of anxiety? Yes, I am human, but I'm still a spiritual being. So the next time you're talking about Richard's crazy, we can't get this and we can't get that, you've already lost. Because you're already saying what you can't do and you're putting negative energy out in the air. You put negative energy out in the air, you're going to get negativity right back. The next time you're at Walmart shopping, talking about this is the best you can do to feed your family, and you know Walmart is anti-union, but you tell me I don't have no other way to survive. I have to go to Walmart. But then you'll have to continue to accept being treated as slaves. And if that's who you are, that's what you want to be accepted as, to be a slave in the greatest country on earth, then I have to respect your freedom. I am not your slave. I wasn't elected by, quote, slaves. I was elected by people whose families came over as immigrants. Now, I'm not an immigrant to America. I'm a descendant of the enslaved African. However, the people I represent in this union, they're from Europe. And nine out of 10 of those, they came over as free people, as immigrants. Maybe one of them came over as a quote, indentured servant, and after 7 years, by the Old Testament of righteousness, they were set free. Listen how I said that. Maybe you, as a European American, you came over, your family came over as an indentured servant, But after 7 years, you were set free because that's righteousness from the Old Testament, Deuteronomy, I believe Deuteronomy 15. Look it up. Not this other type of Christianity where they enslave you for life. No, that's a perverted type of Christianity. And you know who I'm talking to. We are righteous shareholders. We're not public servants. We're no more public servants than them state legislators and the governor. They tell you, yeah, we're a public servant. No, they're trying to increase their shareholder value. And that's why I'm your leader. I'm doing the same thing for you. I'm trying to increase your shareholder value. And they didn't like that because they wanted to continue to treat you as a slave, entertaining in unity at their benefit while they laugh at the fancy restaurants and build your big homes in the mountains or the valleys or wherever they build these big old homes at in the state of California. While you live day to day shopping at Walmart, wondering, am I going to really make it or not? Why I can't retire now? Working with bad behaving bosses who treat you like garbage. And then when you go ask for representation from the union, they tell you, well, what did you do wrong? They don't go and correct the bad behaving bosses. They look at you and say, there's something wrong with you. They want you to do all the work for representation. Then why are you paying this money for? I'm just asking. All right. So, to wrap this up, I am Richard Lewis Brown. Today is April 9th, 2025. I am still your local 1000 president. If you feel like you want to do a video with me, a podcast with me, 408 207 2339. I'm the only leader in this union that will do a podcast, a video, take on any question, unscripted, unedited, unrehearsed. I don't cut and slice my videos. See, I let you talk because I told you from the very beginning that I had a righteous destiny. I have never given up. Been sad? Yes. Full of sadness for a period of time. But I have not given up on God because God didn't create me to be a person that gives up. No. Now, some of you have been created to cause confusion, but on April 9th, 2025, I'm telling you in part 2 of this video, I wasn't created to create any confusion. I was created to lead you out of the darkness. This is how I say this. I'm going to lead you out of the darkness, out of the slavery. Maybe it's not in Egypt, Hebrews, original Hebrews. I'm leading you out of the darkness into the light. And it's up to you to accept this and do what you have to do. But as long as you continue to allow yourself to be mistreated and destroyed by so-called leadership that's been suspended, by leadership who does not have your best interests. If they had your best interests, then they would do a live video with me and say, Richard, you did these things wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. They didn't like who I was and what I stood for because I stood for righteousness from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I haven't transgendered the truth. I haven't told you a boy is a girl and a girl is a boy. I haven't done anything like that. I haven't told you, well, we have to give up our money. I've never told you that. I've never told you, well, they're taking your job from you because of the outsourcing or because the federal money's not coming. So now, you have to let your job go. I've never told you that. They've transgendered the truth. They've told you all these lies, trying to convince you that that's the truth of a real labor union, and that's garbage. That's a person that has an agenda, and that agenda is to use you and use you and use you till you can't take it anymore. And then you retire. And then they say, well, you're going to retire with dignity. No, you retired as a slave. The only difference between slavery from the past with the slavery of today, you don't have those handcuffs on, the shackles. You don't have that. But you have the greatest shackle that a master can put on a slave. They got you trapped up in here. They got you shackled up in here. All right. My name is Richard Lewis Brown. Today is April 9th, 2025. This is part 2 of my video today. Make it a great day in the state of California.